to the show. Well, today I'm joined with Adam McDonald from Assess and Construct. How are you, Adam?
I'm doing well.
Doing well. Interesting business you've got, and I thought we'd do a little bit of a background, like a profile of an entrepreneur who's gone into business for themselves, have a look of where you've come from and maybe some of the skills you've learned along the way and where you're going to.
Digging into me. Okay, that's fine. Cool, no problem.
Absolutely. Can you give us a brief description of Assess and Construct? And I know it's multifaceted, but just a bit of an overview of this business you've created.
Well, Assess and Construct is like building inspections, rectification work, just complying to the correct codes and standards. So we do stage inspections from ground up, so the building's getting built correctly as it goes through. And any defects or complaints that people have between the builder and the client, or even a builder has a problem with the client, I'll come in the middle of it and try to sort it out and give some ideas how to rectify it.
I know that that negotiation part that you do and the mediation part, I should say, is probably a better description between builders and someone actually building the house is fantastic. What did it take how did you get the skills to be able to do something like that? Because it's quite unique.
Look, being in the industry since I was a younger bloke, and just that's all I've ever done is building. So I know how to put them up, I know how to pull them down. It's the only thing I haven't really built is a bridge and a tunnel. So I've done mixed-use commercials. So I think being on site, being a site manager, project manager and things like that, and also doing your builder's registration and being a qualified carpenter and wood machinist, it helps because you sort of know how things go together and how to fix it and have a different idea of how to fix things. So you've got to sort of think outside the box to try and work things out.
It's interesting you say that you've always been in this field. But have you always been in it? What was your first job?
I was, when I was a kid, it was a paper round, but I loved that. I got my first bike. But then I went to a factory because back then the apprenticeships were very hard to get. So I worked in a factory making furniture, playground equipment and things like that for quite a few years, 3 years. So I had wood spray painting, all sorts of stuff. So it was really quite good. Then I went to reservist for a while, did the army stuff, and then I went, right, okay, now I've got an apprenticeship, and then that's where it started. So apprenticeship, finished that job straight into college for a year and a half or so, and then straight into site management for over 14 years. So, and now I went, right, one day I just said, that's it, I'm going to start looking after the builders as well as the clients as well, even tradies. They've got nowhere to go except for the building commission. Sometimes that's just doesn't really suit.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't fall quite within the scope.
No, and it just drags on where you can have an independent person come in and here's a solution, this is what I think, let's negotiate it. It is a long process going through that one, the building commission. So I'd probably save a lot of headaches for the building commission because it can resolve it because people's relationships broken down. That type of working relationships, not anything else.
Don't the married people out there don't start ringing him up.
No, we don't do that.
But going back to your first job, it's always interesting. You had that paper round and always like you get that bit of pocket money. What was the first thing you bought out of your money?
Well, back then when I was a kid, it was a BMX bike. It was a freestyle bike, so you can do tricks and things like that. It was a bright green Kuwahara, I think it was called, Expert. So we used to do back, spin around steering. I used to get up to it. So that was my big toy. When I was younger. So it hasn't stopped.
Apart from learning tricks on the bike and those skills, what other skills have you learned along the way as your career and your business has progressed?
I think when you look at it, the actual biggest experience is how to deal with people and how to resolve issues and actually get your knowledge before you actually say something. Because sometimes if you can't do the issue or fix the problem physically or you know how it goes together, then you shouldn't give advice in that way at all. So I think the skills that you've got to, it's a long period of time to get the skills to be able to know how each building's completely different. So it's more the education, the apprenticeships, the builder's reg, all that, and just life, actual building experience. It's hard to put it in one nutshell.
Well, one thing I will say, and I suppose, I always like to ask people what their hobbies are, but with you, you've got a drone, Not that I'm jealous.
It's a good one too. You are jealous. It's lovely. It's a good machine. Yeah, it's an expensive machine, but it's a good machine.
But here you are, a carpenter, a furniture maker, ex-military, but now you're a commercial drone pilot. You've got your pilot's license to fly the drone commercially. Yeah,
so we've got a REOC, so my drone's above the 2 kilo range. But going to that level gives you a whole different quality of filming, wind ranges, all sorts of stuff. But I've got a REOC license, which is a chief pilot, so I can ask for permits and things like that. So there's a lot of safety stuff, a lot of operational manuals that CASA wants. So it's part of the CASA, obviously. CASA is very strict on you, which is fine, which is great. So so I've got all those type of licenses, so we can do crowds under control and safely as well.
Wow. So, Adam, apart from having a ton of fun flying a drone that I'm not jealous of.
Not at all.
And I didn't get one for Christmas. Can you believe that? Oh.
Well, I spoke to your wife and I knew that was going to happen. It was not going to happen.
That wasn't going to happen at all. That was dreadful. But apart from that, what does it actually, apart from getting the fun toys, what does it actually mean being in business for yourself, for you? Why are you in business for yourself? Because it's a tough gig sometimes.
It is a very tough gig. Like everyone thinks, being your own boss is great. It is. It's got its bonuses. It gives the freedom to be able to expand things without getting approval. So look, I've got this idea. Hey, let's try this. So you've got the freedom to put your own little stamp on it. So like the drone thing, if I was working for another person, for instance, I go, oh, that's going to cost a lot of money. It's not going to be it's maybe not the best risk to do. Well, as your boss, you say, well, it's my money. I'll take the risk, and it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. But you work hard, but then you get the flexibility. You're going to get time with your kids at certain times, and you can all of a sudden say, right, I'll have a Friday off, and you work your workload to be able to do that. So you got control of your life in most ways.
In most ways.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't want to work Sundays, and you go, oh, I've got to work Sunday because of that. So
it's interesting that you talk about what it's like working for someone else, then breaking out for it and working for yourself, and the freedoms it gives you within reason. How did you manage that process? Was it a difficult one? Did things just occur? How did you actually go from being an employee to, well, you're now an employer as well? Running your own business.
It's always been in my head for quite a few years, especially when I was doing site management. And it was just a pivotal point at the last employer. I went, I'm not happy with how this whole industry is going, and because you're dealing with, I was building something like 70 houses at one stage over several sites, so my workload was huge, just as if I was running my own business. And plus I just thought, there was no real places for people to go, and the joy of building was coming out of it. So it was probably the last pivotal thing. I went, right, that's it, and got some business cards together, and then I went, right, that's it, and then really started it off. So
just get some business cards together.
Yeah, I got some. I had all the concept that my name Assess and Construct's been registered for a long time too. So it's always been in the fruition that I'll eventually go back out and do my own thing.
I just want to touch on the name Assess and Construct, because I think there's a lot of building assessors out there.
Yes.
But that's where it stops. They'll give you a report and go, off you go. But assess and construct, I went down to a beautiful project. There's some footage of the Mandurah project.
Oh, yeah, the Mandurah one, yeah.
That was sensational. Not only do you inspect it and recommend, but you can actually organise for that remedial work to be done as well.
Well, that's it, and that's where the names come from. I can assess it, tell you what it is. The clients then have the report, so they can get prices from other builders, whatever. If they get caught with it, then I can do it, because I am a registered builder as well. So I'm doing quite a lot of larger rectification work. So the client can have the assessing part of it, the information, and then if they do need me, I can do the construction side of it as well. So I'm very particular on what type of work I do. I do the larger rectification work, like on the previous thing for the Mandurah. That's 5 stories, and I did one previously to that. So they got the full package. So I don't just give the report, say goodbye. They can come back to me and chat with me.
I think that's really important. It's interesting. I like to ask people this question because with people in business, and someone says, "Oh, he was just lucky," or "She was just lucky," or they got a good break there, or they didn't get a good break there. If you look at your career or your business as it's taken off, has there been a break, like something you pin it on and go, that's when I knew it was going to be successful for you?
No, like anything else, you start your business and it's hard. And you just have a good goal, you just tick it away. But I didn't have one big break, like it was a slow progression, but enough to keep a bit of food on the table, you know, just to get by. But I think the big part with the business breaks is networking, meeting people, actually talking to people. So if you can't talk to people, get to know each other, then that's it. But networking and meeting people is probably the best thing, and then work comes from friendship. Yeah.
It's interesting you talk about that network and where business comes from. And I guess quite a few people go into business and go, how do you get your work? Is it the networking? Is it building those friendships with people?
Well, it is. And then the networking, there's so many networking groups out. You just got to pick the right one that suits you. And like I've been to a couple and went, yeah, no, that's not good enough for me. So I'm sort of fixed on one or two at the moment. Yep. But the networking is massive because it takes time for people to trust you. And then when you do one job, and my referrals are probably 80% of my business. So it's a lot of referral work. So networking, just got to pick the right one and the one that's going to benefit you. So as a builder, don't just think, oh, that person's not going to use me because they are a painter or something. It's not about that particular person, it's the people, their network, the people they know. So never dismiss anyone you talk to because you don't know what's behind them. Yeah.
Networking, and you say picking the right network and the right people in those networks. And we hear a lot of talk about having the right people around you. And I think one of the common business talks around is about mentors.
Mentors, yeah.
Do you believe in mentors? Have you had mentors?
Mentors are great if they're right on the same level as you, which is great. When I started inspection, I did have a mentor in the Eastern States. He was a building inspector. He's quite successful over there, and we had a chat. I even flew over and said hello to him. He was in Sydney, so he was awesome. He was really great to help to get along, and I've thrown him heaps of work just for the advice. So it's both ways. So he was probably the inspection side, making sure everything was right, giving me advice. He was great, and then you also have your business coaches and things like that. I had a business coach for a little while. I said, yeah, okay, that's fine, but you know, at the end of the day, business coaches are good if they're going to help you or not help you. It doesn't matter. So mentors, I think, are virtually the general public, because at the end of the day, you hear people talk to you and you go, all right, I'm taking that little bit of advice out of that. Okay, you've had that situation with that person. I'll just remember, maybe next time I won't say that word because that will upset that person. So I think my mentors are virtually just my customers. It's probably the easiest way to say, just learn from their mistakes or learn from builders' mistakes and just don't do that. Or try not to. So because I was in many different businesses as a site manager and different companies, different sizes, I learnt a lot just from listening, learning and talking to people. And sometimes you've got to sit back and actually listen. People hear you, but they don't listen, you know? So,
it's interesting you say things like that, they hear you but they don't listen, and that's your biggest attribute you've got. You just say you listen to everyone and take their advice. But when it really comes down to it, you can listen to other people. At the end of the day, the business is your responsibility. Yeah. Do you ever feel that pressure or the burden of running your own business?
There's a lot of pressure, don't get me wrong, especially when you're in the growth state. Like last year I was in very much a big growth area. This year I've come back now, I'm really actually growing again. So the pressure's there, the time management is very important, but sometimes the time management does go out the window because you've got so much to get done. So especially with the drone side of things now, that's starting to take on a whole different animal than what it was originally for. So you've got to be flexibility on it. You've got to be, okay, I'll go with the flow and see how that goes. And so at the moment it's working well, especially with the drone stuff. It was 1 minute inspections, now it's marketing, and it's just like, hold on, when's it going to stop? So eventually I suppose you've got to say, right, that's it, but that's no fun.
and you say how much workload you take on and the drones, and we've had a chat about editing, storyboarding and everything that goes with a drone, because anyone can buy a drone and fly a drone, but there's a whole different...
it's the processing,
it's certainly processing afterwards. with that time being taken up, that time consuming part, how does the family cope with that? I mean, you've got 2 young boys.
Yes, I do.
So you've got to spend time with them. How does that fit in with running such a busy and complex business like you've got now?
Long hours. Like school holidays, it's probably like any business owner, is the hardest time, like, especially the school holidays, because they've got 6 weeks off, so juggling with the ex-wife and things like that, the kids, which is fine. It's very difficult to keep on top of your workload, so you end up doing longer hours, or sorry, the kids have got to come, you sit in the office while I work, that's just life. But it is hard, but it's worth it, I think.
It's worth it?
Yeah.
And with your long hours, do you get to have a break? I mean, do you have a hobby? Do you do something just gets your mind just totally away from everything?
Yeah, see, I do kite surfing, so I love my kite surfing.
I call that fly fishing for sharks.
What about salmon? Yeah, there's some big... No, you've got to have an outlet. The good thing about kite surfing is every afternoon, it's windy most days.
Yeah, WA is pretty windy, isn't it?
Yeah, in the afternoon's great because I start really early. So so whenever I can go kite surfing, because I'm just in my own little world, I do jumps and tricks and I just blank everyone out. No one's nagging me, no phone, no distractions except for flying and chat. Be faster than the sharks, as you said, fly fishing. So, yeah, you've got to have an outlet. And I think some people have sports or hobbies that are great, but also I think there's a point that you've got to be just yourself doing your own thing. But that's me personally.
Getting back onto the serious stuff, I mean, you said it's busy, you know, it's hard work at times, you get your mental breaks. What strengths do you think you've got personally and do you think is essential for a business owner?
I suppose I think if a lot of pressure is released if you actually know what you're talking about and what you're doing. I think people that try to not con themselves or try to push it through for something that they don't really know too much about and pretend that they know, I think that's where that pressure starts coming up. But it's just hard, it is hard work, but it's worth it. But I don't know, it's not one nutshell I can say. The attributes is just like, yeah, I've had the experience, so I know what I'm saying. So that takes pressure off it, but also you've got to sort of be able to blank people out, or you always get white noise from people, and you've got to go, okay, that's not worth what I want to listen to. You're a negative person, I don't surround myself with a person. There's heaps of clients that I've said, look, I can't help you because maybe our personalities won't match, you know. So I think customers, we're not supposed to get along with everyone in this world, so sometimes if it's a large job and you don't feel comfortable with that customer, you don't think you can have a working relationship, I have got the opportunity to say, you know, maybe we're not going to mix, maybe you have to try someone else, because as like the big builders, they've really got the clients in, they've actually got to deal with that personality. So where I've got that opportunity to say, look, I don't think we could work together, it's better just to cut it now. It could be nothing nasty, it's just that I might get that feeling from that person, I couldn't communicate. If we have a problem, can we communicate?
And do you think that by having the choice of being able to choose your customers, the customers you actually choose to work with and you get on really well with, they get a high level of service because you kind of, I enjoy working in this? Yeah,
that's it, and that's what the whole thing for me was, is try and bring the joy back in the building. There's no point dealing with, like, because I do the mentoring, I could see that these two personalities don't match, so why do they even go into business, you know? It's like, okay, they're going to be butting heads, and sometimes it works fine, but it depends on the emotional intelligence of each person to say, you know, okay, look, this is a business thing, not a friendship, and as you know, when you're doing work for family and friends, that causes another element of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking of fun, the business has come a long way. I've known you now for a couple of years, and it has certainly grown over that period of time.
As have you.
What's next for Assess and Construct?
Oh, I think I've probably got enough on now. As in, I don't think I want to put any elements in it, but yeah, the growth of the both sides of the business, obviously, but the drone side as well, it's still growing. I'm not quite happy where it's at just yet. I want to grow it a little bit more, and I've got guys that are helping to do that, e.g. employees, I should say. But yeah, it's just going to that market of the large rectification work. That's where my pocket is. I've decided that's my pocket. There's not many builders that want to do it because it is complex, and there's, you know, you're pricing things that for unseen. So I'm really, that's the side now. The inspection side will always be there, but the rectification side of things, as well as getting people to grow the commercial drone stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah. It's been great chatting to you, Adam, but I couldn't let you go without one final question.
Oh, here we go. What's that?
And business owners out there, I think it's always the things along the way. If someone wanted to go into business or into business now, what would be your number one business tip for running a business or starting one?
See if you've got the education for it as well, the motivation for it, and just do some research. Just research on the market, how the market is going. Is there going to be a spot for you? Or do something a little bit different than anyone else? Something different. Don't go to the mainstream. Just do a little lemon twist to it, just to be a bit different. Yeah, be different.
Fantastic. Adam McDonald, Assess and Construct. Adam, I really appreciate coming in today. It's been fun having that.
Always fun with you. It's always
just
fun.
Like off the cuff chat.
Yeah, let's see it come in. Yeah, next minute we're in doing this. So, yeah, brilliant. It's great.
Thanks very much, and thanks for joining us. And look, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the super subscribe little bell, jump across to Adam's site as well. We'll put the link on there and get onto his site. You're going to see some awesome drone footage for you guys that are into that. And we'll see you next time.